Hello, everyone, and welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage for the last time of Survivor 41. Well, for 41, not in general.
This is the last episode of my weekly meltdown.
Yeah, this is it. This is we have reached our peak, and we yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Welcome to
These
the
guys.
Doc Chunk and Dolores in the chat. Hello, everyone. We're here for season 41 is wrap up the finale. We decided to all get high and watch it last night, and well, one of us went on a crazy trip we need details about later. You know what I'm saying?
Who?
Oh, I can't imagine who.
We'll let the chat speculate who.
Dude, I should pull up screenshots of our Facebook message going on last night during the show.
Right.
I literally woke up this morning and I was like, what the hell did I do last night?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, I knew it wasn't anything bad, but I just was one of those moments where I was like, you know what? We should go back and review the evidence here.
You know,
watch the tape.
Back in the day, yeah, it's like you wake up and you're like, how did I get here? What did I do to get here?
Well, I want to start with like the biggest news of last night, which is you know, like, yeah, we have our first female winner in 7 seasons, whatever, but
What?
I was right. And that's what I want to start with here, because I have been an Erica truther for weeks now. The both of you were on the Ricard train all the way till the end here. But I saw something in Erica. I saw something in her edit. I saw something in her like very like under the radar, like a very just like a subtle assassin, if you will. And Erica pulled out the win. And so this is the first female win that we've had since Survivor 34, which is just like insane to me to think about. But yeah, I was right.
Hello, Valencia in the chat, and Juan Washington Cruz and Pokemon. Guys, I just, you know, if you're just joining us, Tyler's not used to picking a winner. So we're going to be hearing about this.
Hold on. He didn't pick a winner. He waited until about 5 episodes until the end and then picked the winner, which is not the same as Henning, who fully picked the winner.
He fully picked it, and I stuck to Ricard from the very beginning.
That's true.
You did.
I didn't jump on anybody's coattails. And after edits, when I pick something, I pick it, and that's it.
Boom.
Boom.
Just like a booger. But yeah, so I want to give Manning our roses tonight, because he is, first of all, our draft winner. So he had both Ricard and Erica going into the finale here, which is just very impressive that he had like the first boot of the night and then also like the winner. So very impressive. But also it's his birthday today. So everybody in the chat, go ahead and give Matt Henning a big happy birthday. I think Beth is
quick round of happy birthday, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Henning. Happy birthday to you.
God, I mean,
Henning, we love you.
We could just replace Pentatonics at this point, because that was an A+ performance.
Between the snapping, the and
the Mariah Carey on it.
It wasn't Mariah Carey as much as it just was having an orgasm.
I call that my Mariah Mary.
I love it.
Mariah's scary, more like it.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so of course, like, happy birthday to Matt. I also wanted to say that like, we, before the show tonight, we tweeted out saying, like, if you guys have any questions for us about like the season finale, or also just like questions about like the season as a whole, I kind of want to like put a nice little bow on the season as a whole, because as Jeff Probst said, we are in a new era of Survivor, and I want to talk a little bit about like what worked and what didn't work. And from Jeff's like exit press, it sounds like they're going to try a lot of the same things again for next season, just to kind of like see the experiment like twice in action and see if it yields kind of the same results and everything. So, yeah. So I guess like first we can start with how does Erica rank as a winner for you guys?
Hold on
Mid low.
Do we have the
mid to
questions
low?
up? Do you have the questions up?
I have some notes for like questions that I thought of, and we'll pull some from the chat as well.
Okay,
so I would say out of 41 seasons, I would rank her about 25 in that area. I don't think she's a terrible winner at all. Her biggest issue is the editing. That's the issue. We don't get to see what a lot of her game was. We got to see moments that production were involved in her game, or other players overshadowed moves that she was a part of. I'm thinking specifically of when they take out Nasir, right? That likely was an Erica-driven move, but it comes across as a Ricard and Shan-driven move. I think a lot of her issue will not actually be things that she did in the game. It's things that we did not get to see because of the editing or because of production. Because, like, I also have to put it out there. If it wasn't for, here's an hourglass that nobody in their right mind would never smash, she would have been the first one out. And that would have been before they even did the jury. She wouldn't have even been in the jury. Yeah. So I have to take a little bit of points away from her from that. But again, I think that she's a solid player and that she had a lot of strategy. We just didn't get to see it.
Yeah, and so like Beth, I totally agree with you that like the whole like hourglass thing, if you will. Like, so there's a few like Big Brother winners that I've ranked really low, even though I think they're capable players in general. Like Evil Dick's win and Rachel Riley's win are very like if production didn't intervene, they would have gone home like almost like immediately when the intervening happened. And so I kind of have to put Erica in that same category, which is a shame because I want to see like a badass like female winner, like just like Kim Spradlin the hell out of this game, right? But that's just not the story of this season. Like the story is that like Erica, and so many people confirmed this like after, Erica was going to be the merge boot if it weren't for the hourglass twist. So like I can't rank her too highly because of that. Do I think she's a capable player and capable winner? Absolutely. Like I think that like put her in another season and I think she could do very well considering like her size and her stature. She does a really good job of making her presence be known, making her voice be heard, and making sure that she's not like the forgotten about like little gal that people can like beat in challenges and stuff. Like at the end, even Danny gave her respect on her competition prowess and everything like that, which I thought was really really admirable that Danny of all people was able to highlight that as like an NFL player. But yeah, I would probably rank her around like 30 out of 41 winners. So I'm kind of with you, Beth. Allison, what do you think?
I think that Xander should have used his hidden immunity on Ricard, and I'm still stuck on that from last night.
Okay.
So I have, if Xander wanted at least votes, apparently, but I think he could have won if he had done one major move, and it wasn't to save Ricard.
Yeah.
It was once he knew how horrible Erica was, he should have given immunity to like Deshawn and Heather and gone against her for fire making himself. He should have pulled a Chris and been like, I'm more than just a hidden immunity idol and an advantage. I'm more than 2 immunity wins. I won the last immunity. I'm going to give 2 people a free pass and I'm going to earn my way there against my biggest competition. Now, here's the thing. He didn't know that she was his biggest competition,
despite everybody fucking telling him that.
Yeah.
But I do think that would have gotten him a lot of support in the jury.
If that happened, go ahead, Allison. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do things like out of orbit. Like, I'm not big on the Erica train. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm glad, you know, first woman won in 7 years.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. It's great.
That's how I feel.
I'm just not. I'm not excited about it. Man, I can't believe Xander didn't get one vote. I think he should have gotten at least one. But how did he not get one vote? What did we not see? What happened that he did not get one vote?
I think we did see it, which is that the jury multiple times in this last episode said, "Oh, that's a bad read," and didn't have respect for his social part of the game. And here's the other thing too, like he wasn't a big enough threat in their eyes to even force his idol out at any point. And we kept thinking, why aren't they doing that? That's so stupid. And I have to take a step back and remember, might be the edit that's trying to build up Xander bigger than he really is. Because Xander, if you're production and you put all these different twists and advantages into the game, and he has two of them with one of the new idols, that supposedly the whole point of it was that everybody would friggin' know that you have an idol. And hopefully they would put that pressure on that player and get rid of it early. He still wrote it till the very end. And if they thought of him as a bigger threat, they would have found ways to push that idol out of his hands way earlier. It got to a point where he was smart enough to know not to do this. Now, he said something at the final tribal that I never knew throughout the entire season, which is apparently he was really close with Ricard, and Ricard gave him that code of if he says play your idol, that means don't play your idol at tribal. So it would look like to Ricard's allies that he's trying to get him to flush the idol, but really Ricard had the side alliance. And all I can think is, that's better on Ricard than it is on you.
And you have to think like last week when I had Andrew on the show and he brought up, had we seen that, I don't really think Andrew would have sat here and called Ricard a bully. I mean, listen, I'm lost on the editing this year. I don't know. I feel like there were things that happened that we didn't see, and I don't know. I'm just I was not impressed with this season as I felt like I should have been, and I'm sorry. I don't know.
No, I mean that's why we're here, Allison, is to give our opinions, especially as we're like moving into this new age and talking about like, what worked and what didn't work. And like I can kind of speak to the edit a little bit because like once you start looking into Edgic, you can't turn it off in your brain. The editing was very different this year in terms of like there was no like the winner's edit wasn't there. Like I would say Xander got the most like winner's edit out of like anybody down the stretch here. And like it's almost like the editors like were telling us like that they thought that Xander should have won. Like we got like all of these like just like beautiful shots of him like walking down the beach like in slow motion with like the saturation and contrast up. You know what I'm talking about. And like just all of his like backstory and everything about how he used to be a former fatty. Just like all of these things where like Erica really didn't get anything, and they didn't show us like, I mean, her and Heather were like the most invisible people like for the entirety of the pre-merge.
You mean the older ladies, the others?
Yes.
No, Erica.
No, I mean Heather. I'm talking about how they were talking about what did they say about Heather and Tammy? They were
later years or something.
The later years.
Oh yeah, the later years.
You know how freaking old how horrible I felt. The later year. I looked at my cats. I said, I'm sitting on a couch with 4 cats. The later years.
It was just great because I think that she meant like, like later in life, or like she was at that point. You just should say when I'm older. Like, who cares?
I want a show called The Later Years. That's like a spin on the Wonder Years.
It's all of them as grandparents now.
It's me. I'm gonna do the voiceover. Actually, it's gonna be me with my grandson, and it's gonna be like a combo. Look who's talking, and you're gonna hear everything from my grandson's point of view.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
But to like wrap up my editing point, like the whole like no, you're good. The edit of this season was Ricard and Shan. Like that is where that is who like the main characters of this story was. So to take out Shan out, like what did she get, like 7th or 8th place or something like that? And then Ricard gets taken out at 5th. Like when you look at the Final Four, you're like, who am I supposed to root for here? Like we haven't been shown like why, like why am I emotionally invested in any of these people remaining in the game? So I feel like that's probably like where you're feeling, Allison, in terms of like I wasn't following who. Like, would it have made more sense to you if Shan or Ricard won at the end?
Or Xander?
Yeah,
or Xander.
Well, because they invested all of this time in these people, and Erica, to me, really wasn't a blip on the right. Thank you. Valencia always has me. I know. Us later years got stick together. Anyway, God. You know, what was I saying? See, this is what happens when I'm in the later years.
Erica wasn't a blip on the radar.
Okay, she wasn't a blip on the radar, in my opinion. It's like they showed her in spurts and then really paid attention to her in the end. And yeah, because there was less people there. But why not give her the same edit that you're giving people who are gone week 3 or week 5?
I have a theory.
Give me that theory.
My theory is because they did a reunion right afterwards and there was more of a chance that somebody would blab and spoil the season, they hid the winner's edit to like overcorrected to a degree in order to make it seem like, holy crap, Erica won. And then we had this like reunion that took place right afterwards. Since you can like, it's interesting. I've listened to quite a few different people get interviewed on like RHAP and other podcasts when they come off the season. And a lot of people will say like, we think we know who wins based off of what people are saying they voted for, but you don't know until those votes are revealed. People could be lying. That has happened. People have lied about who they voted for, and all those different kinds of things. And there was such a bigger sense of you have a whole bunch of people right there who can spoil the entire season. In a way that they haven't been able to do since season 1. So let's hide an edit so that it doesn't look like it's going to be the way in case it does get spoiled.
I have to give my kudos to, I had no idea they were going to do it like this, because we had actually said, I wonder how they're going to do the reunion. You know, how are they going to do all of this? And you know, they did it. And, you know, Jeff Probst got throw his 2 cents in. You know, I've been trying to get them to do it like this for years. Like,
which, by the way, you are the executive producer. You could have done it.
They just give. Let me tell you something. That guy right
there. That just scared me.
That guy right there. They only give him. Pull that picture back up.
No,
look at that Botox. That guy's got some major Botox. We can smell all right. I know what's happening here. But they give this guy the label of executive producer to make him feel like he's more than just a pretty face. Well, you know what I'm saying? A Botox pretty face. Like he's actually doing something. No, I'm pretty sure people are snowballing ideas, you know, and planting seeds, and then he thinks he came up with it. I bet there's a lot of manipulating going on with that Jeff Probst. And, you know, I'm not buying it with the new hair. This is not a new man. I'm not buying it. You may have got a couple of, you know, Botox. I think he got Botox this season, to be perfectly honest with you, because I've never noticed him looking like that before. But
it was a scary jump, Jeff Probst, this year in many ways. But I guess like we can also talk about like I want to talk about like what like didn't work, and I think like one of the big didn't works for me was Jeff like breaking the fourth wall and talking to the camera like, all right guys, listen, it's Final 5. We've got 2 tribal councils, 1 fire making, and then we're gonna announce the winner of the game at the final tribal council. Are you guys with me? Are you ready for this finale? Like don't hold our hand like Navi in Zelda Ocarina of Time. Like that's what it feels like to me.
Hey, listen. Could you imagine if he would have gone, listen, dig, woman, dig, listen.
Oh my God. Oh, and did you catch during the challenge when he said to Heather, he was like, yeah, woman, represent. And I was like, what is this?
Like, I was like, why are you yelling at an older white woman that? Like, do you think you would have yelled that at Suri?
No,
because then he would have been buried in the sand. Listen,
so why are we saying represent, bitch? Like, you need to calm all of that down. Like, unless it is a man who has a lot of Botox and is your age,
Yeah.
You better shut the fuck up.
I'm going to tell you what it is. In the later years, us white women, in the later years, we still say things like, you go, girl. You got this. Woman.
It would have been great if Jeff Probst had been like, you go, girl.
and we still.
I would have liked that better.
I go, do you hear me? I still do this.
I would have loved if he like had a discussion similar that he did in the first episode and be like, now, I think you guys know that my new catchphrase for Heather is dig, woman, dig. But what about you go, girl? What do you guys think about that? And just like, go down the line and be like, who's comfortable with it?
Hey,
Not Heather. I don't care about your input.
Heather, here's your inspiration. Live, laugh, love.
Oh, God.
Think of all the Hobby Lobby you will buy with that $1 million.
No.
Bitch, I will
definitely not Hobby Lobby.
China. Do you hear me?
No. Let's see. Okay. So,
I think Henning's. I think 1 second. Okay. I want to say this that Henning just put in the chat. I felt like Jeff really was really only trying to big up the white players, and I 100% agree with this. Other people were saying this earlier in the chat as well. I tweeted about it at the same time. Like literally, Tyler put it in like our little group chat last night. We all think that Jeff is trying to like groom Xander. No, that sounds awful. Is trying to build Xander up as the. Look at Tyler's face was frozen in a stank face, and it was so funny. You were like, I think he's trying to build Xander up as the next Joe, and it's interesting to me that like he doesn't yell about other people like achieving that's so cute. Doesn't yell about other people like achieving things and challenges. It's always, you're an old white woman who shouldn't be able to do this, but you're out there fighting. And it's like, if you didn't think she could do this, you wouldn't have put her on the cast.
There's no need. Yeah. No, I don't need somebody, you know, Jeff's just a couple of years older than me. I think that he is probably legit the same age as, he's got to be at least 52. So where does he get off thinking just because you got some Botox after 2020 ended and you could finally get in there doesn't mean give you the right to say you are just as old as fuck as the rest of us. You just sit there and shush and stop it with your hair. That's the most twisted thing about this whole season is in hair. Okay? And talking in the camera. We don't care. How many times did he say refill? Can we get some refills in here? Can we get some pizza? We're taking down the fourth wall. We're going to move cameras around and get lighting better. We're going to do all this. Jeff, we know what goes into a fucking production. We don't need you to explain it to us. We get it, bruh. We're there with you. You go, girl. You go. You got this. But so you go stupid. Sit there and go, we need some refills. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I got your refill.
Yeah, he was just like all over the place this season, and I feel like he's like I feel like he is the one that's like trying to push this game in a direction of like more like fast paced, like intense, like the fact that he like asked these people like how did it feel that like the rain last night, that was really bad, right? And I saw some alumni Survivor people being like, oh yeah, they had like one night of rain, like I feel so bad for them. Like he's trying to like inject like
I think there's a reason for that though.
It was raining. I heard the rain from my mansion on the Fiji Island.
Yeah. I think the main reason for this is two things. I think they're trying very hard to rebrand this and kind of like revitalize the show.
Yeah.
Number one. Yeah. Number two, it is not an accident that even with Paramount Plus, that they have certain seasons of Survivor on Netflix. What they're clearly trying to do is capitalize on people who are binge watching shows and revisiting shows, because the pandemic wasn't just about people binge watching new shows. The pandemic brought people going back and rewatching shows from the mid 2000s to like mid 2010s. I mean, it's part of the reason why I started covering Lost and The Nanny and that kind of thing with Dylan. Of course, The Nanny's the 90s, but whatever. It got people like going back and rewatching shows that they were like, you know what is up with Survivor? It's been on all this time. I watched the first 5 seasons, but I haven't caught up. or I've never watched it, but I know everybody at work watches it. And they saw such a huge spike on Netflix. And it wasn't just people who were like, oh, I love heroes versus villains, so I'm going to watch this. It was people discovering it for the first time and then saying, oh, I'm going to try to tune into the new season. Now, with the new season, what he's trying to do is cater to a new audience who's like kind of discovering it for the like live for the first time or the first time for a long time. So I understand it. If he continues the bullshit in 42, I'm smacking the Botox out of his face.
He won't feel it.
And that's
still
so my friend,
like
my friend Kyle who made our wonderful my friend Kyle who made our wonderful branding for My Weekly Meltdown. He just started watching Survivor. I think he saw David versus Goliath on Netflix, and that's like his only other season besides this one. And he loved this season. Like he thought that like all the twists were like crazy. He was texting me during the fire making challenge, and he was like, wow, this is crazy. Like it's so intense. And I was like, I mean, it's Deshaun and Heather in fire making, but sure.
The fire making was really exciting though.
I thought the fire making of them really are gonna win. But
I still didn't know that though. I honestly felt like if Deshaun had, I honestly think there could have been a case for literally anybody to win last night. It depended on how they did in the final tribal council.
Is this true? Well, 42 was filmed before 41 aired, so you better get to smacking.
They filmed like back to back, I think.
I would not have gotten that from how they.
Well, yeah, no. What do you? No. Okay, you guys are misunderstanding. I'm saying that I don't think that he would have gone, cool, great, bring in the new group. I'm going to do the exact same talk to the camera that I just did when people know we just filmed them together. What I'm saying is if he did do that, that's freaking stupid. Stop. You just did it, and that's the audience that you're going to get is for 41. If you maintain them, they're coming back for 42. Nobody is skipping 41 and then going, let me watch 42 for the first time. Nobody is doing that.
Yeah.
So if he does it again, that's stupid.
Yeah, and you know what? Screw us. People have been watching it for 21 years and what we think. I mean, for real.
Well, exactly. And that's the point I'm trying to make is like, maybe we're like the grumpy old people now who like are struggling with adapting to. Yeah, we are the later years of the Survivor fandom. So I'm gonna
be honest. Out of all of us, the three of us, I had the least issues with this season. I loved this season. True. I liked the twists. True. I liked a whole bunch of different things. I've been very vocally positive on pretty much everything for this season. Mm-hmm. I will say the one thing that like I joke around about Jeff doing that. I joke around about like, you know, the hair and the Botox, all that kind of stuff. I honestly don't give a shit. It really doesn't have any bearing on the episode. Like it's just a moment where we get to go, oh, shut up, get to the challenge. You know what I mean?
It's just because he's so damn annoying this season. I never would have taken the time to analyze his face. Because this is really the first time I've ever done it. And I'm like, dude's got some serious, he was fresh out of the clinic. And
well, he was fresh out of quarantine like everybody else. And he's like, yeah, all right, we're going to get out there and we're going to do stuff. And I'm going to talk right to the camera to tell you how excited I am. Like, it was just like, I was like, you know what? I get it. I get the frantic and frenetic like energy. Like I'm here for it. I get it. But I definitely think that this season was a needed change in the show. I like that. I like that there were things that people were upset with because it wasn't how the seasons normally go. I like that. I like when they throw wrenches into the plans of everybody, including the audience. What I don't like, and the number one thing I don't like about the season, was a lot of the story editing. That's the number one thing, especially when it comes to the winner, because I really, truly feel like Erika now is getting shafted as a winner, not from people who are super fans. People who are super fans are praising her. I'm just putting it out there. Like no one is out there being like, she shouldn't have won. Like nobody's really doing that among super fans. But people are saying that because they didn't see the edit for it. And I don't blame those people, but I'm not blaming Erika either, because I do think she's a deserving winner. I just like didn't see the things that clearly the jury did, because there's all these comments that are like circumstantial evidence of her gameplay, but we didn't get to see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes, and I got
100%.
texts from like multiple friends of mine like that just like watched the show casually. They texted me being like, "Wow, I'm surprised that that Erica won and Xander didn't get a single vote." So like that, it's definitely the feeling amongst like the people that aren't like super analyzing the show or anything. So I like there's a lot of people agree with that, Beth. I think in general, like the twists this season were we're good. You know, like my problem with new Survivor and new Jeff isn't that he's trying new things, right? Like I think like you should always like try new things and throw shit against the wall, see if it sticks. What?
You know what? Back when I was 9, Coca-Cola in 1986 created the new Coke, and it sucked. It was horrible. It didn't even last a year. So Coke got rid of the new Coke and, you know, re-released Coca-Cola Classic. Because why are we going to change it if it's perfect the way it is?
But it's not perfect the way it is. That's the problem.
The way it is. That's true.
The problem has been, and here's the thing, it's not perfect the way it is because if it was perfect, it should be a 50-50 split between men and women winning this game.
That's true.
Around that area, a 60-40, something like that. But what ends up happening is you have 7 seasons, like, well, technically 6 in between seasons, but 7 seasons where a female winner doesn't happen. And there's only 2 female winners within what, a 11 season stretch or something like that.
I think the even crazier statistic is like, I think out of like the 80 something hidden immunity idols that have been found, I think like 65 of them have been found by men or something like that. So it's like really unbalanced, but
and
so
there's things
that's why.
And there's things that we know now because like we keep in touch with like what is going on in like press and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna put it right out there too. This has nothing to do with the game in terms of like your ability to play it, but it would impact your ability to survive in sense of being somewhat comfortable. They don't allow women bathing suits anymore. Like that you wear all the time. And like, I'm going to put it out there. If you have a vagina, you are more susceptible to like all of these different like bacteria and such if you're not allowed to change and you have to wear the same thing and you can't even really properly clean it. Like it's ridiculous. And that would put somebody at a disadvantage. You're telling me you got something going on down there and you're not going to be able to do your best. And like, if you're like, I got to fucking itch something and I'm holding this shit up in an immunity channel, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just putting it out there. Like there are things that they will do that will inherently like hurt chances of people purely on like a comfort sense that could be affecting part of their health and such.
Why did they take the bathing suits away?
I don't know. They only let them wear them for like challenges, but they don't really have like a change of things that they can wear on the beach, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe they get like a merge outfit or you know what I mean? Like
I thought that they definitely changed some clothes this year, but I don't know.
Not sure. But
remember we were like, they got fresh khakis now.
Well, listen, they've all got tennis shoes. I mean, they've all got the sneakers and the buffs and whatever they need to. I don't think they're going to let maroon someone on the island in some stiletto heels and have them run a challenge. You know,
that would just be drag
Tyler
race.
Perry wanted them.
What?
I don't know if that's true, but rumor Matt says it too. Okay. Tyler Perry said it needs to more look like a survival show.
Multiple people.
I think Tyler Perry needs to sit down and know his place in this, which is not to impact the health of other people. Because I'm sorry, if you have a dick and you're wearing swim trunks, that's not the same as like cloth on a vagina. That is a self-cleaning organ that is going to push all the bacteria out. And if you're wearing the same shit all the time, it's going to collect there right next to the opening where it just came out. Putting it out there.
But
it's a stench.
So like the whole like Tyler Perry like telling Jeff to like be more of a survival show is like exactly like my problem is that like Jeff Probst like what I was saying before was like I'm fine with him trying new ideas and like seeing what sticks. Like Jeff doesn't listen to people that are trying to give him like good constructive feedback on like what is working and not working in this show. Like it just tends to go in one ear and out the other. Like I read this like Parade interview that Mike Bloom got to interview him, and he asked like about like all the twists and stuff, and Jeff said that he loved all of them. He saw no problem with them. He saw no problem with the hourglass twist, which like out of all the twists, like that's the only one that I'm like pretty thumbs down on. Like I liked the summit because it brought like lots of like commingling between the tribes and like forming dynamics. I mean, we saw Evie like make a bond with Deshawn only to like screw him over at the merge. We saw Liana and Shan like really buddy up on the summit as well, which made like one of like the best moments of the season. So I loved the summit. I loved the one at Tribal Council, like where you forfeit your vote and you like roll the dice. I forget which one that's called. The
oh my gosh,
it's not the do or die twist. It's
shot in the dark.
Yes. I loved the shot in the dark twist, and I think that should stay because that's such like an interesting fold. But I agree with Danny that like fundamentally, like I think he said something like if you can't like trust. I'm going to find this exact quote because it's important. I shared it on Facebook and I was like, Danny is not wrong about this. But basically he said that, if you win a challenge, like you shouldn't be punished for that. He said the integrity of the game is at risk when you are the host and you're able to lie to the contestants. And I think that's a really important point. And I understand Deshawn telling Danny, like, listen, Jeff told us at the beginning, like, expect the unexpected, basically. But I think it crosses a line a little bit that shouldn't be crossed when you win a challenge and then you are then vulnerable from an action outside of, like, your own doing, if that makes sense.
Well, I think
so that's the only one I have issue with.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that there are aspects to the Hourglass challenge that could be adjusted, but not with something as important as immunity, right?
Do it for a reward.
Exactly. So I'm sitting back saying, because this time the merge feast was really only given to half the people. Mm-hmm. So what if they win the challenge? They're still immune. But instead of having an hourglass, the person who had to sit out can choose which team they want to have the feast, and they also get to partake in the feast. But they don't get to change the immunity. So they could sit back and say, well, you guys have immunity, so I'm going to give them the feast, and I'm going to join them. You just made friends with that time. Or you're going to say, you guys won, I'm going to join you with the feast portion. I'm still susceptible for immunity, but you just made friends with them. I think there's something there that could happen. It's not an hourglass. It's like a 50-50. There's a shot there. There's something there. But you don't take away immunity from somebody. I really didn't like that. To the same extent, I'm rewatching David versus Goliath, and I actually really hate the idol nullifier this time. No, don't get me wrong. I really didn't like what's his face, Dan. I really didn't like him as a character on the show. I thought he was like a little pompous and all these different kinds of things. And it was kind of fun to see him like knock down a peg. But when I think about it, I'm like, that's really messed up that there was an advantage where he like correctly plays an idol for himself and then gets out. No, don't get me wrong. I love the move from the Davids. I love the whole situation. It's great. It made for great drama and I can appreciate all that. But on a game level, like a security level, at the very least, if that's
I agree.
Or at the very least, putting out there in the very beginning, find an idol, be aware. There's an idol nullifier twist this season that's out there. So you might not be as safe as you think so, because Dan had 2 idols. So imagine if he was like, this one's nullified, I'm gonna play this one then for me. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't have done an idol on Angelina the week before. So I think that there's aspects there that are right and some of them that need to be adjusted.
Exactly. Yeah. And these are just like very fine-tuned things that like just understand where the line is that you can and cannot cross for twists like this. Nate Rosansky agrees. He says that like the host is supposed to be the person that's the most trustworthy and be the representative of the show. And I agree. So he submitted a question that I want to ask you guys. How do you think this cast would fare on a returning season? Like, who would be your bet to do the best on a returning season from anybody in this cast? Allison, what do you think?
I'd like to see, obviously Ricard or Danny or, someone like that come back on even maybe a Shan or is it Liliana?
Liana.
Liana. I'm sorry, I messed up names. Liana. I'd like to see someone like that come back. I think they, I'd be down for it. It just, I don't know. As long as they don't bring back like Boston Rob, because I love Rob, but come on, let's not.
I
can't wait for him to be the first 85-year-old survivor coming back. Be like, I came out here with my kids. I'm just sounding like a really bad JFK impression.
Rudy. He's gonna be like Rudy from what, season 1?
Season 1, yeah, and 8.
Yeah.
I think there's so many people who could come back and play this game. I think Ricard would do well. I think Shan would do well. I think Xander could do well. I think Deshawn would do much better in a second time. I honestly think the person who would probably have the most success coming back would be Tiffany. I think Tiffany proved she got to go over the hump of what is the main issue with her character type, and she already rose above that and got to a point where she had a lot of power, a lot of influence and that kind of stuff. She just was on the wrong side of the numbers at the end of the day. She had that momentum moving forward. And I think if you gave her another chance where she was on a tribe and people knew that she was capable and not someone to just vote out immediately, that she could help you in the challenges, that she could do all these other things. And now that she has the confidence for it, I think she'd do really well. I'd also really like to see Evie back. I really liked Evie.
That would be a good one too.
This is random, but there's still something that I picked him in our draft, but out of all the pre-merge boots, I think that JD would be really fun to watch on another season. And I think a few years more experience in life and in this game could really do him well, and he could turn into a really great Survivor player, I think. And that's also how I feel about Shan. To me, the stars of the whole season were Shan and Ricard. And I feel realistically who they would bring back, it has to be those two. It's, and to me it's not even close. Shannon and Ricard, and then a big gap, and then I think we're talking about Evie, Liana, Xander, even Tiffany, I just
Deshawn.
To me it's exactly. It's they all feel very distant to how much of a juggernaut Shannon and Ricard really were in this game and for this season. So yeah, that's who I would say. But I would love to see JD back. I was very entertained with him in the pre-merge.
Did we get any more questions from anybody else?
Let's see.
Didn't Jules have something?
Do you remember what it was?
No, I'm opening up my tab so I can look it up.
Okay. I have another question for you guys. So Ricard, in when he was voted out, they really gave him a lot of praise on his way out and stuff, and I think Ricard either said it then or at the reunion, but he considers himself one of the greats of Survivor. And I want to hear from you both. Do you agree with that statement? Do you disagree? What do you think?
I'm going to tell you something. That lost a lot of points with my parents last night, that it was a self-proclaimed thing at a tribal council. And I have to agree with them.
Yeah.
I think there's a line between saying I'm proud of myself and the work that I did and being humble. I learned a lot. I learned that I can do these things even with having, a handicap of having to read lips. I knew that wasn't going to hold me back, and I proved myself right with that. I think that's different than self-proclaiming that you're one of the greatest players, because that's not a title you give yourself, at least publicly. You could do that personally. I don't give a shit. But that is something that that's kind of earned from like the public and like fandom and like it, but even more so probably like your peers, the other Survivor players, more so that like the fandom will always have opinions and such, but the people who have played the game and have watched it and that kind of thing, it's just like I felt like it was weird. It was like as if it was his third time playing and he was going to lose again. And like if Cirie did that in Game Changers, and she didn't even do that. She's never said, I'm one of the best players to never win. She's never done that.
Well, that's
and
because she is. It's because she is. You don't, if you're great, you don't have to tell everyone you're great. If you excel at something, you don't have to tell everyone. If you're a champion, if you're a winner, if you're an amazing leader or anything like that, you don't have to sing your own praises. Your actions will speak on your behalf and others will follow and they will sing it for you. I like Ricard. I didn't know. How did I miss that? I guess I was blown away by him looking like a guest ad during the tribal council with that hair and button up denim shirt. I didn't know what was happening. Like I was in the 7th grade again.
Right. I tend to agree with you both. Like I was pretty like I thought he played a great game, but like to say that before you even like watch the show back and see like the full picture of everything, right? Like he said that only knowing like his own experience in the game and not knowing like what Erika, the winner, was up to. Not knowing that like Shan was talking about getting rid of him long before he was going to get rid of her, just like all of these things that he didn't know. So to say that, and especially after like your first time playing, like you have no idea how you're going to do on your second time out. I mean, Tony, one of like the greatest winners of all time, not something I say, but something a lot of people say. He was out second in Game Changers, his following season. So like you just never know like how the
take Malcolm. Malcolm, I think, had one of the packages of being one of the greatest players ever, and I think the only time he could ever win, unless it was a season of Malcolm's, it was Philippines. I don't think he'll ever win the game, right? But I don't think anybody watched him in Philippines and went, he's one of the greatest players of all time. He came back in Cagayan, or not Cagayan, Caramon, and he did okay. Came back in Game Changers, did even worse. It is just like it's one of those things that I think a lot of people will always say he's a good player, that he's got the full package, but like you don't know, Ricard might be out first, and if he comes back for another time. The fact that he was even saying when I come back and play again, which is like, that's presumptuous. I just think that there's like a lot of things there, and I agree. Henning said something in the chat about I think he was maybe a little burnt out in the moment. I get that, but if you're trying to throw a lifeline out to stay, that's a weird strategy to be like, we're at Final 5. I'm the greatest player of the season. Keep me. Like, no, that felt like he gave up to me and that he was like singing his own funeral, which like, I didn't respect that as much as for someone that like I respected the hell out of his game. Don't get me wrong. I just think that was a fatal flaw, that he could have really taken the opportunity to throw somebody under the bus there. Right. And talk about Erika or talk about someone else, you know?
Can I bring up something a little controversial?
Sure.
I don't know how I feel about, because I love Ricard, and Ricard, if you're watching, I love you to death. Please don't take this the wrong way. Why are you waiting till you're about to leave to announce to everybody you're about to be a daddy again?
Yeah, that was another bad mistake.
I really felt like he should.
I thought it was really like emotional manipulation.
I felt like he should have brought that up ahead of time, because I don't think he is that kind of person, but it came off that way.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
No, I completely agree.
I agree.
It's like he didn't win that immunity and he just didn't know what to do. So he just threw everything at the wall. It's like, I'm going to be emotionally manipulative. I'm going to be like slightly egotistical. I'm going to be doing like all these different kinds of things. And I'm like, you're doing a running list of things you should not do in that position at 5.
Right. Exactly. So he like does that and then like 5 minutes. Go ahead, Ben.
What he needed to do was continue to work on Xander and see if he could get Xander to play that idol for him. Because, like, imagine, like, I don't think Xander would do that in a million years. But if he did, because I thought maybe he could do it. If there was one person left in that game who had the ability to sweet talk him in some way into doing it, Xander was the one. The moment he brought up his kid, like his baby who he didn't know was going to be born or not yet, like what? You lost that opportunity because all Xander's hearing is sob story for the jury. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
What you should have been doing is saying, Xander, like, I'm telling you straight up right now, Deshaun, Heather, Erica are against you. Like, I'm telling you right now, the only shot that you have to get votes is if you're sitting next to someone like me, because our games are aligned in some ways. We can rely on each other, because if I'm sitting on that jury, I'm calling your ass out, and if you're sitting on that jury, you're calling my ass out. And I think that what you needed to do in that situation, Ricard, was like really work on Xander, and maybe you did and we just didn't see that. I don't know, but it just when you threw all those other thing out there, it just was not it.
What was it Nate said in post-game interviews? He said that he learned from Jeremy and kept that quiet on purpose. He was told before tribal he was done, so that's why. Well, you know, and I feel so guilty right now even saying anything, and I didn't mean it in a bad way. It just came off to me that way.
But no, I think that's it too.
I agree.
Like, but ew, like I felt dirty. I felt icky.
I feel the same way about it. And, you know, Nate, I definitely understand that. And again, this is an example of like, there were things that the editing did this season that I loved. I loved that we didn't see like Nasir find the idol until he's saying the phrase at the challenge or whatever. There were things like that were like, ooh, keep doing that. I like that you're keeping the audience in the dark in some things, because we're learning things at the same time the players on the television are. That's great. That's not one of those moments. You need to provide the context of characterization so that we know whether or not that's emotional manipulation, because that was a huge like stock drop.
Yeah, and Xander in the yonder. Xander in the yonder didn't get a vote. Like, he didn't even no. Well, wait, that's not what I was going to talk about. I was going to say he didn't use. It's in my brain. I don't get it still. But Xander didn't use it on him. I thought for sure he was going to use it. I think really did.
Tyler and I talked about this the other day, and I really thought that there was a situation that if Xander won immunity, that he would play the idol on Ricard. I thought that there was that moment that he could do it. But then we're seeing him being like, oh, this is our chance to get out Ricard. We've got to do that. But we have been given no context as to whether or not that would be something you would ever consider. So that's why I was like, some of these things like felt like whiplash this season, where I was like, whoa, that seems so out of character for this person to think that, because we've been given no context that this might be something that they're thinking about until all of a sudden it's happening. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Speaking of bad choices, I don't want pizza on an empty stomach if I'm in the final three. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm going to shit myself on stage if you give me pizza right there. Pizza. I want pizza, but I need something that's not going to make me poo-poo and doo-doo. Okay? Water on stage. You
I think at that point in the game, they're happy if they do have a bowel movement, because I don't think that they're pooping for days on end at that point.
And Tyler and I were like, did they let them shower before this tribal? Because we noticed how clean they were.
They did. I think they got to shower.
Something's going on here.
Stuff.
I don't know if they showered as much as they were allowed, like, because they were still dirty. Like they were cleaner, but they were still dirty. And I think what they allowed them to do was like do a wipe down. Like, here's some washcloths, that kind of thing. Yeah. Like, I think that's, here's like, you know, whatever. But they still had to put on the same damn clothes they were just wearing. So how, you know what I mean? Like, I doubt they would be like, go take a shower, and now you're going to go back into the clothes that you just wore for 30. Like, I don't think that's what they, so I think what they did was like, here's, wash your face. You look dirty as fuck.
If they're doing the reunion like right then and there, and the vote read right then and there, which I liked that they did the vote read like right then and there. I thought it was cool and different and stuff. But I mean, why not let them do their final tribal council like after the need? And like, I wonder, like, of course, like, don't let them like integrate with the jury at Ponderosa, of course not. But like, does it really change anything? Probably not. In fact, like, it would probably make them even like think a little clearer, so we don't have like like really like game dropping like moments at a final tribal council. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what else? You know what else, Tyler? This bothers me a little bit. Joseph Boza in the chat brought it up. This was a rushed reunion. I mean, it wasn't even a reunion. And the people who were outed but pre-jury were an afterthought. And I got to say, that would piss me off.
True.
If I've waited 21 years to be on this show, at least let me sit on a stage or something. You know, because granted, if you're one of the first people to get out, you get all dolled up and you're sitting on that back row and they come to you for maybe 2 seconds. I want that 2 seconds.
I
once
didn't
again
even think about the pre-jurors not being there.
Oh, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, yeah, I think that was a misstep. I think it would have been great if they brought them back specifically just for that. Like, cool, great, whatever. I loved the after show reunion, whatever you're going to call it. I loved it a lot. It made it so that there wasn't a revisionist history as to what people did and based off of what they were able to see and how it was being perceived, and they could change their story. We got a raw sense of how they felt they did in the game. They're still tired. There's still questions that have gone unanswered that they haven't been able to ask everything. And I really felt like you got people's genuine responses much more than you would if they had to wait a year and a half or whatever. Not a year and a half, like 7 months at this point, whatever. But I really liked it. I think that there's things that, of course, could be done better in the future. Bring those pre-jurors back from their trips, hide them out from the jury at, like, I don't know, another Ponderosa kind of place or whatever. Because God knows in the preseason they're separated out and like there's Ponderosa, but isn't there like also like another area, because they normally separate like the men out and the women.
Yeah.
Well, the pre-jurors go to Ponderosa, whatever. But what I'm saying is, like, before the season even begins, they separate them. The whole cast is in this. I think they normally have separated them out by gender. So bring them back to the other place that's not Ponderosa, and then, you know, like, have them there. I think that was a misstep, and I think it would have been great for people. Like, I would have loved to hear from Brad. I would have loved to hear from Jeannie about like the ways that like they had to navigate. Oh, I'm not going to go for the idol. Oh, I am going for the idol. I did all this other stuff. And like the pre-jurors were fun this season. I loved every single one of them. It was great. You know, I think it would have been great.
Yeah, I would have. I mean, at least like freaking. If Dr. Phil can put up a wall of audience members in the background, why can't we zoom in the dadgum people from America to Fiji? Why can't we do that?
I think they probably looked at the zoom of it all for the season 40 finale, and they probably did not like how that turned out.
Oh, so I hated that so much.
Yeah,
it was awful.
So I think I like the idea of this reunion happening like live there, but I think it could use a little workshopping in like the format and stuff. So we'll see like what they change and everything. But
I agree with. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You're good.
I was just going to say, I agree with like, let's not call it a reunion. Like, why don't we call it like a wrap-up show? Just something like that, because I think reunion makes more sense if it's going to be months at a time and then you come together, blah, 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 blah. But I think a wrap-up show is just kind of like, here, we're going to go through the season. We're going to go through the win here. We're going to talk about some of the things that made the season different. Now, my one question that I would like to ask both of you, because I saw this and I can't remember. It's someone who probably knows in the chat, because I thought this was hysterical. There's a Survivor alum, and I'm struggling with who it was. It was a woman who said, all right, now that the game is over, what was the monster that Jack kept talking about before the season began? Remember, he was like, season 41 is like a monster. And it's like,
no, it's just
what was the monster?
It's just being that game show host salesman that he is with his Botox face, talking about some monsters and stuff. It was you, Jeff. It was, there's the monster right there, Beth. That was it. His new face, his new look, his hair. That's the monster. There, I answered your question.
My only explanation for that is Jeff is secretly a huge fan of the podcast Hot Mess Moments, and he's been listening to all of Beth's theories about the smoke monster in Lost. So maybe he just like got his island shows mixed up or something.
Listen,
and yeah,
Beth's 100% right 100% of the time theories of Lost.
Oh yeah.
100%.
I would love to hear you make up like theories about like Survivor 42 as they're going along, like as like chaotic as your Lost theories are. What else is there?
Why are they showing this season before the other season?
What do you mean?
Well, they filmed 42 before 41. Why are we seeing?
No. What Pokemon said is that's what I thought Pokemon was saying. He said that season 42 was filmed before 41 aired, meaning that like, he likely will do the same thing again. Blah, blah, blah. I was saying that because he just did it for 41, he shouldn't have to do it again for the second time, even though he's filming it right there. So 42 did get filmed right after 41. But
well, I have to say they didn't label it as a reunion, though. Oh, sorry. I'm just saying they didn't label it as a reunion. Usually my DVR will say Survivor finale and then reunion. It was just 3 hours long. So, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to say like one last thing I wanted to give Survivor praise on was like the casting for this season. I know that like this is the first season with like the new diversity quota and everything that Big Brother also did. And we were kind of wondering like if it would be the same situation as Big Brother 23 in terms of like the alliance structures and having like a more layered like intensity to like creating bonds and breaking them and stuff. And I just have to say like I feel like the players this season really took that into consideration. And like I feel like that's kind of why like Deshaun didn't get a lot of respect at the end from the jury. Like and in the Ponderosas, like Shannon and Liana were really upset at him. And I watched Danny's Ponderosa and like they go like right up to Danny and they're like, why did you and Deshaun turn on us and vote Shan out and side with Ricard? Like, look at where the rest of the game is headed now. Like, if we had just stuck together, like things would have been so different. And Danny said, girls, you were right and we were wrong. We shouldn't have flipped on you. And I think that like that to me is where Deshaun like lost the game, is Danny admitting that he's tying like Deshaun, he's still like a player left in the game with that. We were wrong.
Is that not what I said the other night at dinner too? I said if Deshaun wants those votes, he's got to take ownership, and I don't think he did it well enough. That's the problem.
He didn't. And but I just like the casting this season was really good. Like even like the I mean, like with the exception of Heather, like sorry Heather, but like I think like pretty much everybody on the cast like stood out in some way or another. Like even the pre-juries were fantastic. Like you guys were mentioning like JD and who was the older Brad? Was that his name?
JD, Brad, Janie, Sarah, Abraham. You had
David Boche.
Sydney Boche.
Yeah, but I mean, even and
I don't even like I'll put it on record. I mean, I don't like Sydney. I don't like her as a person or anything like that. But what a compelling villain to have. You know what I mean? Like you had those kind of roles there. I completely agree.
Yeah,
and I once again need to do such a shout out to those 2 episodes in a row where they really talked about what it's like to play a game as a Black person or a person of color. I loved those segments so much. There are identities that you can hold on to on the inside that you don't necessarily, exude what your identity is. So that could be something like a sexual orientation and sometimes even gender orientation, but something like skin color, that's not something you hide. You can hide it. So those kind of things get read immediately on you. And, sometimes prejudices and judgments come out. And then when you're playing a social game, these implicit biases come out and it's harder for those people to play. So I loved those conversations. I hope that Jeff learns. I think that Jeff did, honestly, this is probably just my white privilege coming up, but I thought that Jeff did a much better job than a lot of people give him credit for those conversations. but he's got a lot of improvements to make with him too. I'm not going to sit back and say that he was perfect, but I think that he could absolutely, like, in the future, let's not cut to Xander and Heather about their thoughts about what it's like to, be Black. Why don't you go to one of the other people who's a minority who's sitting there,
Right.
Those kind of things
trying, like, and that's like what I want to give him credit for, and kind of compare that to Julie Chen and how she is just like totally like calling like an atheist like child of God on like live television, for instance. Like, compare like Julie Chen doing that to like Jeff like trying, and yes, it kind of feels like Amy Poehler in Mean Girls being like, I'm the cool mom now, like that's like kind of what
that's exactly how he's acting right now, and it's getting on my nerves.
But like at least he's trying to get himself somewhere, and I appreciate the first steps, because so many people his age, like that thought just like never happens, you know what I mean? So we'll see. And we'll see. But
and even things that he's been criticized for, I'm like, you know what? At least he's trying. So, for example, when he had the conversation about come in, guys, like I saw a lot of people who were giving him shit for that, not because they were like, not the like the Facebook commenters who were like, why is that even a consideration? Not those people, but the people who like legitimately understood why he was doing that, being like, what was the point of that? Because you just put people in a really uncomfortable situation. What you could have done is said, I've decided I'm no longer going to say guys because it's not gender inclusive, whatever. And just make that the moment. You don't have to do this performative kind of thing. So I think that there are things that he will continue to learn and grow, as we all will, because none of us are perfect. We're all going to be continuing to learn and grow. Language changes and so do actions, and we just need to grow with them. And I give him kudos for being somebody who has done that, whether it's been the way he handled, talking excuse me, sorry. The way he's talked with Kelly and Island of Idols in the finale at a reunion show about her experience in sexual harassment and how it was handled and what they could be doing better. Unlike other shows, he literally took a moment there, and he continues to do that, of going, how can we be better, and put the power in other people's hands who have had those experiences, rather than saying, oh, I think I know what you need, we're just going to do this. I think there's aspects of both that he's done, but I give him the kudos of being able to provide a space in which people do have a say, and it's not just dictated to them all the time.
Yeah. So I think with that being said, I think that's pretty much it for Survivor 41. Of course, like Allison and I will be continuing to cover the challenge and the Real World Homecoming, which is so good, by the way. I
haven't watched it this week. I haven't watched it. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. I've been busy. I'm on season 3 of Dexter. Okay. Talking about binging shows.
That's happy that MTV reality is in a kind of good place right now for once. So many things coming down the pipeline, but I think the next big thing we'll probably cover is Big Brother Canada 10, because that comes before Big Brother US. So
what about Celebrity Big Brother?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Celebrity Big Brother in February. So we'll be doing that, of course. But so we'll probably do some fun off-topic shows, maybe
we need to do a brand deal.
Well, I was just going to say we should draft a fantasy Celebrity Big Brother season. We and some of our patrons pick the celebrities, and then we put them in the brand deal, and then we play out the season and kind of just make shit up and have some good laughs along the way. But we'll be doing some all-season shows.
We need Tyler to watch. We're going to do Tyler Watches Twilight.
Oh,
hopefully in the future.
That's I don't care. That's a Valentine's Day show if I've ever heard one.
That needs to happen, because it was on the other day, and guess what? Yes. I had it on in the background, and I'm bitching at the TV per usual about everything that's going on. I'm like, God dang it, this bitch right here.
It's so good in such a bad way.
And just like that. We're watching that show. That show is so terrible, and it bumps me out because we were looking forward to it a lot, but it's just not good.
What show?
The Sex and the City reboot.
Well, like, can I go on a tangent for 2 seconds?
Always.
Of course.
Okay. First of all, before I go on my tangent, I just want to say, give a shout out to little man, my little Cloud Lucas, who picked Ricard to win. And I had to break it to him today that he did not win. And this was the little FaceTime face I got. So we're all good now. Look at that little face. I just want to point out, he was born November 4th. So he was born, this was his first season of Survivor. This was his first experience of Gamma talking about it. So look at that face.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him on Survivor 62.
Now I can't complain. But listen, here's the thing. I got a bitch now. Now the baby's not on the thing. Here's the thing. The spoilers have got to be addressed. Okay. What show were we just talking about? Oh, Just Like That. Okay. I'm not a big Sex in the City, but I've caught it and I've seen the shit, the whatever. I didn't know. I found out like immediately what happened in the end of episode 1. I'm not one to bitch about spoilers because I'm all about spoilers and I'm all like, get over it, stay off the internet. But like when Entertainment Tonight is openly reporting about it the next day and freaking Today's Show, give me a break. And then I have another grievance. The challenge finale was last night. I haven't watched it yet. And I'm in my feed. I follow Wes Bergman, and he spoils it for me by posting a picture of the winner saying champ. And I was
that was like last week. Dalton Ross, like while the East Coast was on, was spoiling everything that was happening. And he kept getting comments that were like, dude, there were some of us on the West Coast that haven't had to even air yet. Stop. Like, you're like one of the few people that like most huge Survivor fans are following. And he made like no like apology or anything. Just sat there, was like, sad to see, Danny go. And everyone's like, what the hell, dude? I haven't even watched it yet.
Well, it's funny. And listen, I'm not like really upset about it. I just found it funny that I've been bitch slapped up and down, humped dry by spoilers today, because the big one, the one that sent me over the edge today, I was preparing this show. Yes.
Is that the hump dry?
Yes.
Hump dry. I was fucked over big time dry. Okay. And let me tell you something. I'm preparing this show. And as soon as I'm done, a video that I was watching ended. And I forgot to X out of it, and it just went to the next video on autoplay. It was leaked footage from Spider-Man No Way Home. Now I know. I know. That's all I'm going to say. I know. And I wish I didn't know, but I know. Okay. And then I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I'm like, is this fan made? Because then I start watching, I'm like, is this fan made or is this real? And then as I dig deeper, I'm like, oh, this is real. Oh my God, this is real. So thank you. I don't know what's going on today, but damn. But Spider-Man of all things to ruin, that's like somebody ruining Endgame for me. That's like
that's the thing.
That's somebody ruining Star Wars for me.
I remember when Endgame came out. Now, I hadn't watched the Marvel movies. I'd only seen a few, but I wasn't like an MCU fan until like, the pandemic hit. But when Endgame came out, I remember everybody, including like the producers and creators and everybody, was like, no spoilers allowed for 2 weeks because Endgame is sold out all these different places. People have to wait a few days or whatever. Like literally put like an embargo on spoilers, and then included like people who were like going on chat shows, and included like asking fans to seriously be like tight-lipped about it. And I remember people for the most part were really good about it, but it's like, I don't get it. MCU is like such a big franchise and people love Spider-Man and people want to see this. This has been so anticipated. Why spoil it on the first day? I don't get that.
I couldn't believe it. And I thought to myself, there's no way that this is legit. This is real. And I got to turn that freaking autoplay off. I swear to God. Up next, just automatically starts playing. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, mother. And of course, I text my son, and I'm like, it's ruined for me now. He's like, what? And I said, I saw leaked footage of Spider-Man No Way Home. Do you want to know? He goes, no, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. And I'm like, okay, I'm just telling you, because he's in spoilers like I am. So
I saw, when we saw, what did I see recently that had a trailer for Spider-Man in it? And I don't think it was West Side Story. I think it was House of Gucci.
Was amazing, by the way.
West Side Story. I'm putting it out there. I said this to Tyler the other night. I'm going to put it out there. This was better than the original movie.
Was House of Gucci any good?
No, it was trash.
No.
I love Adam Driver, but
it was a complete waste of 3 hours plus of my life.
Is Adam Driver any good though?
Sorry for your loss.
So here's the thing, his character's supposed to be fucking boring, and so he was boring. But he was doing it because that's like his character. You know what I mean? Lady Gaga's character is not rootable, and so you're like, okay. And I'm gonna go on record. My friend and I agree that the 2 best actors in that were Jared Leto and Al Pacino.
Well, of course, they're Oscar winners. Jesus, yeah, they're great.
But everybody is panning, especially Jared Leto, because they're like, he's a scene stealer, but not in a good way. Like, he makes the movie about him. I'm like, yeah, that's the character that he played, was somebody who makes everything about him. Like, I don't know. Like, they were like, his accent was awful. I was like, so was Lady Gaga's. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what people want. I
don't know where this train started that Lady Gaga is this great actress. I'm gonna toot my own horn. You know, I've been in acting for quite a long time, and I'm a great actor. No, I'm just kidding. No, but here's the thing. No, I am trained. I'm a trained actor.
Yeah.
And I catch her acting all the time. And if you've ever acted or done anything in your life on film, stage, anything, you know what it sounds like. You know what it looks like. And to me, what was that movie she was in with Bradley Cooper?
A Star is Born.
Okay. She was good in that because there was music. That was not an Oscar nominated performance, in my opinion, but she got the nomination anyway. But I just don't, I catch her acting all the time, and there's just she doesn't blink when she acts. It's like, Father, Son, House again. I mean, that's.
But she didn't win the Oscar for
no.
Star is Born, right? Yeah. So here's my theory.
No, Olivia Colman won, and it was amazing. One of the best speeches of all time.
I'm really into blind items and dark Hollywood theories right now. I follow some TikToks for it. I think that this the House of Gucci movie or whatever is solely to set Lady Gaga up to be an EGOT winner in her lifetime. I feel
100%.
I feel like Hollywood wants that out of her for some reason.
Well, here's the thing. EGOTs are people who win Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys, which, not surprisingly, most of the time are musicians. But it's interesting. Normally people win not the Tony, the Oscar for songwriting, not for acting, which is interesting.
I mean, she wrote a beautiful song for the movie, and she earned that Oscar. I like that song I'm just saying that Mark Wahlberg kind of is the same guy in every movie. Let's just be honest, almost every movie. And I just, he kind of isn't. Will Smith is kind of almost the same guy. Okay. I haven't seen King Richard. Don't start. But there's no layers. Jared Leto literally transforms his entire body.
I didn't even know this was Jared Leto until I left the theater and was like, who was that actor? And I still don't believe it was him. I was like, that's not him. No, it can't be. He looks nothing like himself in this role.
I know. See, to me, I think it's kind of an insult to say I love your acting, because to me, I'm acting. If you believe what I'm saying and everything I'm doing, and I'm making you feel something and you don't see me anymore, that's a performance worthy of something. I don't want to be caught acting. And I feel like a lot of people are caught. I'm not going to get on a tangent. I'm just saying.
We can do so many off off topic. This we need to do another BS breakdown. That's the
yes, a BS breakdown. We'll do it in the new year. It'll be fun.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, yes, only after I watched Twilight while very heavily medicated.
Oh my god, but so many feelings.
I can't wait. So all right, well everybody, we'll be back. I don't know when. Well, we'll announce on Twitter when the next
in the new year. We'll be back in the new year. We're gonna take the next 2 weeks off or whatever it is for Christmas holiday stuff.
We might do the challenge though one time and
sorry.
We might do that one time because I got to get that at least one of those in.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah. Beth, I would love your insight for these homecomings, and like I haven't watched the original season, so like. But I am still like understanding everything that's going on. But I feel like your perspective on like just like so many like world issues right now are so relevant to like these like very real conversations that these people.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's so fucking good. Like that's the moral of the story here. But okay, well, all right, everybody have a great rest of your night. We'll see you when we see you, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you all so much for hanging out with us for this season, and thank you all to our patrons for your support. And we hope that everybody, every viewer, everybody has a wonderful holiday season and a great new year.
Yes,
we love you.
Keep it classy,
because we won't.
Right, exactly. All right, guys, everybody, take care. Bye.
Bye.